Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in to Living in the Limelight, an Anton Scholl and Friends podcast where we discuss music from the artist and fan perspective. Thanks for listening and enjoy the show. All right, welcome to another edition of Living in the Limelight. I'm your host, Anton Scholl. With me today's special guest, singer, actor, writer, musician, and children's book author. Right, here we are. Laura Workman, how are you today?
I'm great. How are you? Thanks for
Good.
having me.
Yes, well, nice to finally meet you. I know we've been Facebook friends for quite some time and
Yeah.
been, watching what I can of the videos and seeing what you do. And it amazes me how, how you have so much time to do what you do. But let's find out a little bit about you. No, let's find out everything about you, not just a little bit.
Oh
Let's
dear.
find out everything about you. And because I think it's very impressive what you do. And, this podcast is really about musicians. We also have some fans on who talk about music and what they kind of would expect from musicians, that are out there.
Yeah.
What they expect when they go out and see a musician and stuff like that. But let's start with you then, and where you grew up and what got you into. Let's start with music first, and then we'll go into all of the other aspects of what you do. Okay.
Okay. Well, I'm a Buckeye. I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio, and I moved to Arizona June of 2013.
Oh.
Ran away and started a new life. So here I am.
Yeah, and in music, when you're doing your shows, like what kind of got you, like a lot of people, they see someone on TV, it's always, oh, the Beatles, Led Zeppelin, whatever. I saw somebody who got me saying, that's what I want to do. What was that moment for you in music?
Well, it was a process. I actually have been a backup singer for most of my life. I was in the church world for about 10 years, backup singing mainly. And also I was, when I was married, we were youth ministers. So I also had like a drama team. My ex-husband had a music team. And so that's something I've been doing for a while. And then I moved out here, and I had really been wanting to do music. And a friend moved out here from Ohio in 2015, and he was a musician, a bass player, and we were looking for a band to join together. And he was the one with the idea of the Pat Benatar tribute. I didn't think I could do it, to be honest. I was like, I mean, I can do a couple songs, but those are big shoes, man.
Yeah.
And honestly, at that point in time, I wasn't really ready, but I kind of tossed the idea back and forth, for a couple years. And finally, I'm like, you know what? I've got to figure out if I'm really going to do this or not. So I went to just right down the road, Casino, Arizona, watched Pat Benatar tribute. And I'm sitting there like, I could do this. And not to knock her at all. She's a great vocalist, but her presentation felt more theatrical, where I feel like I just kind of turn into Pat and become Pat somehow. Like I channel her. I feel like I give more of an authentic presentation, at least. And that's just, it's not a conscious thing. I just kind of become the character.
Yeah. Well, that's good. That's what you should be doing. Yeah.
And then I love doing it so much, I decided I wanted to add another character. So the Pretenders. So now I'm doing an hour of Pat and an hour of Chrissy, and I love it. And I'm learning guitar because I want to be able to play for real.
Oh, yeah.
So I just love learning new things and doing new things.
So those are two, I wouldn't say polar opposites, both great singers, between Chrissy Hynde, and Pat Benatar, but that is
Very
a contrast,
styles.
right? Yeah,
Very
yeah.
different
And for
styles.
you to channel that character and become that character, you do an hour of each, so you can get into one and then get out of it and then go into the other, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I would think that that would be, yeah, that now, and that would be really good because those two vocalists have done really a lot as far as even pop music, even
Right.
Pretenders were more like a punk, almost a punk band
Right.
in the very
Right.
beginning.
Yeah.
How far do you go back when you do your shows, and how do you pick what songs you're going to do?
I focus mainly on the hits,
Okay.
because the people want to hear the hits, you know. And if you're only doing an hour of each, it's best to do the hits and not do too many deep cuts. But Pat has more actual hits than Chrissy does. Chrissy's
Yeah.
got plenty to choose from, so I do all of Chrissy's hits and then some other favorites of mine.
Nice.
I feel Chrissy is from Akron, Ohio, and she also lived in Cleveland. Akron's only like an hour from Cleveland. So I definitely feel a kindred spirit with her. And actually, this tattoo that I got, she
Mhm.
had a restaurant in Akron for a few years, like 2007, 8, 9, something
Oh,
like that. And a very dear friend of mine has a tattoo studio in that building, and I got some tattoos done there, and they still have the original sign from her restaurant up in that building.
oh, nice.
And Neil, I don't know if you know Neil Giraldo is from Cleveland.
Oh
So
no, I didn't know that.
I feel like I'm really representing the Buckeyes, and I
Yeah.
really like that.
Wow. Are there any others that you're looking at, like kind of eyeing that you may be able to talk about to say, hey, I'm thinking about doing this one, but not hasn't come to fruition yet?
Like adding a third
Yeah.
artist. I'm branching out in a different way. I was doing a lot of exploration. I had sort of landed on Alanis Morissette for a minute, but then I'm like, I mean, Pat
Mhm.
already kicks my ass. I don't know if I want to do another,
Right?
singer's going to kick my ass, but I'm working on something that I'm really excited about. So I'm developing a cover band. I'm working with a guitar player, and he's like a mashup machine.
Mhm.
So we're going to do this mashup cover band, and we're also going to do like a soft version of it. So, we can, and it'll be like a smaller scale, like just the two of us or maybe three of us. So we can, like really get out there and,
Hmm.
um, it's cool to do the tributes, but it's also super cool to just be me, be my alter ego or whatever, put my
Oh yeah.
pink wig on and do that.
Right. Right. Well, now let's see. What are tribute bands that are out there that or actually that are not out there? Like, I don't think I've ever seen a Joan Jett tribute. Is there a Joan Jett tribute out there? I don't
I'm
know if
sure
I've seen
there is.
anything like
I don't
that.
know offhand.
Um, I and who else? Melissa Etheridge and Alanis Morissette, like you said, like
Yeah.
any of those, something like you may. Oh, okay, I can jump on that. I can jump in on that and channel that person. Who would you love to channel, like a Janis Joplin or someone like that? Who would you love to be able to do?
Um, Probably, what is her name from Berlin? Is it Terry Nunn?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I think she's pretty awesome.
yeah. Okay, good. See,
Yeah.
they're out there. There's so
Yeah,
many of them. But I do like the idea of actually just Laura being out there doing her thing, huh?
I like that too.
Oh, yeah. And what about any type of original music or anything like that? Have you looked into that? Have you thought about any of that?
I would love to write music, and I think I have the ability. I just haven't been really good with. I don't. I've written a few things, but like it just
Mhm.
doesn't flow for me like other people. That's something I would like to develop more.
Well, I'll tell you the woes of it because it's not all. A lot of people say, oh yeah, you should write your own music, you should do your own thing. Yeah, if you've done it, you probably don't want to do it. There is a lot of people that say, "Oh yeah, I only do my original songs." And yeah, well, guess what? The bars don't want you. you know,
Right.
a lot of the people don't want you.
Yeah.
Nobody buys music anymore, you know, and so it's a real. You put a lot of work into it. It's a love that you have to have for the music itself, and then you just have to say like, hey, that's all it's going to be. It's just going to be a love for music. I ain't going to make it. You know what I mean? I'm not going to get out there and do stuff because a lot of these bars, a lot of these venues nowadays, you know, they
Mhm.
don't want to hear original music because it doesn't draw the people in. You know,
Yeah.
so I get both sides of it, doing both, because I would say that right now, given the choice, I love getting out there and just, you know, jamming classic rock songs, you know,
Mhm.
get people up there to dance. And then, you know, you throw in one of your originals and people are like, oh, okay, that's nice. That's good. Play the other one, you know, and then you go and you play, you know, you play the dance songs or the pop music or the classic rock songs that people want to hear, you know? And
Yeah.
so I love it. I think it's great. I think cover bands are great. I think tribute bands are great. I've done it all myself, and I think it's great. And I think what you're doing is great because it's really when you say that, when you channel that artist and you have fun with it and you become that person. That was something that I could never do. I mean, imagine someone like me looking like this, going up and doing and singing Rush or singing Led Zeppelin, you
Yeah.
know, it was always like a thing of like, oh yeah, I'm not, I may get the voice, but I just not the look, you know. And I know that people were out there going, well, he sounds okay, but you know, that ain't no Robert Plant, or that ain't, you know, he don't look like Geddy Lee, you know. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's,
Wigs go a long way with that. Have
I
you ever
always
worn a
thought
wig?
about that. What's that?
Have you ever worn a wig?
No,
It's so
no,
freeing. You gotta
I
get a wig.
know. You know what? And it was always, I thought about doing that because I thought, you know, then you can literally hide behind that persona. You know, it's
It
not you anymore.
transforms you.
Right.
Yeah.
But you know, the difference was it was so honestly complicated for me as a singer. So at one point in time when I was doing it, I was singing, I was playing bass, I was playing the foot pedals for like the keyboards,
Wow.
and I was running sound,
Oh my
and
god.
I was doing all of the backup because there was some synthesizer or keyboard that we didn't have that I would have tracks made, and then
Oh
I would just have
god.
synthesizer tracks in the background. So I'm like constantly, you know, worrying about every, you know, clicking
Oh
buttons and
my
hitting the
god.
with the feet and the bass and this and that. Yeah, it got real. It
How
was
did
so
you do
complicated.
that?
Yeah, that's what I said that to myself plenty of times, and then I was like,
Do you
when
have 5 hands?
yeah, I know, right? But then when it was kind of over, I was like, wow, that was, you know,
That's pretty impressive.
I took on too much. I did
Oh,
too
I'm
much,
good at that.
you know. But yeah, but definitely a fun way to go about doing that. You know, it is fun. I love watching people perform and make their music and just channel other people. And I think that's great. And I've had a lot of people on here that do tribute bands, uh, and cover bands and original music. And yeah, listening to all their perspectives is awesome. So
Yeah.
with you now, um, there's other stuff that you've done. You've done acting, or you're still acting, uh,
Yeah.
and an author and all of that stuff going on. Where did all of that come from? Or where did the interest for that come from?
Well, when you would ask me when I was a little girl what I wanted to be when I grew up, I always said a singer and an actress. I didn't say a writer, but I wanted to be a writer too.
Mm.
And, so like the holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas, I'd set up like a little puppet thing and put on little shows for the family and stuff like that. And it's just, it's weird. Like I'm an introvert, but I love the stage and it just turns me
Mhm.
into someone else. So I've
Yeah.
always loved acting. I did a lot of acting in the church as well. And when I moved out here, I decided I wanted to pursue music and acting in the professional realm.
Mhm.
So I
Wow.
got a good agent, and she's, I've been getting some jobs here and there.
Oh, that's great.
I'm I I I really want to get a national commercial, something like Flow and Progressive.
Oh, right.
That's what I'm hoping to land.
See, because
Or
everybody
maybe,
knows that. Yeah.
right?
Wow. Yeah. Oh, that's great. Well, that's what I was going to ask. I was going to ask, what is it that you are looking for, or what is it that you would want to do uh, when it comes to that? Because there are so many things out there now, and I have no idea how to get into any of this. But there's, with so many series that are out there now streaming, so many movies that are made for like Netflix or made for Prime or any of those, Amazon. You know, there's it seems like there's so much out there, but how
Yeah.
do you even get into something like that?
Well, you could either get an agent or you could forge your own path, like through social media and stuff, or both.
Right.
Um, yeah, I've got this series in my head and I haven't gotten to it yet. Like I've got this list of stuff always in my
Yeah.
head of what I'm going to work on, and I've got this video series that I want to do. It's called The Convenient Girl, and it's based on my life when I was growing up. We lived in a picturesque, beautiful little town in Ohio called Chagrin Falls, and we had a little grocery store, like a convenience store.
Hmm.
And so I grew up in that, and it's honestly the best memories of my life, my favorite job ever. And I still have the smock. My dad sold it in 1986, but still have the smock, and I even bought a cash register to do
Really?
these. I've got the story all typed out. I've done a lot of work on it, but there's like too many other things that need my attention right now. So maybe
Mhm.
someday.
Oh, that sounds good. I look forward to seeing that. That would be great.
Yeah,
So now, then you've also branched out into being an author and writing children's books.
right.
So tell us a little bit about that.
So the children's books are about my daughter and her two dogs. And she, several years ago, I guess it was like 2018, I think, she told me this
Mhm.
story about Winnie. They were sleeping in the middle of the night, and Winnie just jumps up and runs downstairs and starts howling by the sliding glass door. And it was so cute. And I just started thinking about it, and I was like, oh, this sounds like a really good children's story. So I've got 6 now that I have self-published on Amazon, and I also made the audiobooks, the Kindle books. I've made video books too. They're on YouTube. That I spent That's what I spent a lot of last year doing, just working on all that stuff.
Hmm.
But my last book, the 6th book, I think it's my favorite. It's a rhyming book. So my daughter had a boyfriend who he paid someone in China to paint a picture of her, like a portrait.
Mhm.
And when she opened it on Christmas, she didn't know if she wanted to laugh or cry. But I wish I could go get it, but she's sitting it's like dark. It's like maroon walls, dark paneling, and she's sitting like a mob boss, like her arm draped over with
Hmm.
a cigarette, and there's a little gun on her thigh, and each dog, it's so freaking funny. So I was looking at the picture this one day, and I thought, oh my God, that's Winnie and Greg, and they're bad guys. So then I thought, well, what would a little boy dog consider being bad guys? So it's stuff like jaywalking or not holding the elevator, essentially being a jerk.
Mhm.
So I turned it into this rhyming story of how not to be a jerk.
You know what? I think I saw that. You posted that on Facebook, didn't you?
Yeah, I'm
Didn't you post a
posting
picture?
them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I did see that. Okay, yeah, no, that was cool. I did like that.
yeah,
Yeah, it's amazing how things just kind of pop up out of real life situations, and
yeah.
then, can turn them into, something that children, adults, whoever could kind of really get into and get behind those stories.
Yeah, the stories, they're not preachy at all, but they all have a good positive message, like, practice makes perfect and good habits and, being kind, stuff like
Right.
that. Being a good
Oh,
human.
I like that. I
Even
like that
other
a lot.
dogs.
We 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 need a lot more of that. We need to get away from all of the politics and the all of the stuff that's going on, and just get into happy thoughts again, and get back into things of just and I think I always called it like mindless things of like where you don't have all of these assumptions. You just want to go in and have a good time, you know
Yeah.
and that's really what it is. Between
Yeah.
books, watching movies, watching things like that, series, things of that nature. It's just all just mindless stuff that you just want to get away from the everyday insanity and have a good time.
Right.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah, there you go. So now I do some work with a lot of musicians in the area. I actually have a single coming out that I'll be announcing shortly with someone that I've been working with, who I've wanted to work with also, uh, and do some vocals on a new song that a partner and I had written many years ago, and that's going to be coming out soon. So I'm gonna do a separate thing on that, but then I also have a second project that I'm working on, and right away thought of you. And you and I have never met in person before, but I did see a lot of you on Facebook, of course. I did see a lot of the tribute stuff that you were doing. And when this project called for a female vocalist, with a range, I thought, well, listen, when you're between, Chrissy and Pat, got to get Laura. So I had approached you about doing a song with us, and we are in the process of doing that, and I appreciate that. But now, what is the difference in doing something like this? Because what we're doing is what we would call virtual recording. Okay, we
Hmm.
have people that are from different parts of the world, different parts of the country, and we're just kind of sharing tracks back and forth. Okay, there's no like rehearsal with a band. There's
Right.
no, and it's not like covers. This is like original music. How is this different than what you're used to?
Well, when you're practicing or performing with a band, you've got the other people's energy to draw from.
Mhm.
Um, for me, learning the song, I love to make an emotional connection if possible, and was doing my best to make emotional connections with that song. Like when you sing, there's a big difference between just singing or singing with emotion, and I like to sing with emotion. So, I needed to find all of that within myself and the lyrics and the music, which is totally fine, as opposed to when it's a group setting, you kind of, feed off each other.
Right. Yeah. And this is something too that you can kind of make your own. You're not
Right.
worried about sounding like this
Right.
performer that everybody is used to hearing, and
Yeah.
I think that's a big difference between showing that you have originality versus like just copying somebody, is that it's a
Right.
whole different world. I mean, if you're out there and you're continuously covering somebody, and then all of a sudden it's, well, just sing this in your own voice, and then people are like, um
You kinda
I
lose who you are.
I,
Yeah.
I don't have my own voice. I don't know what that is. You know what I mean? Um,
Yeah.
so I see that happening a lot. So yeah, it's a change going in from one source to another when it comes to, doing it your own way and channeling yourself,
Right.
because you're really doing it all on your own, and it's all you. No one's going to say, oh, that sounds just like, this person, or no, it sounds like Laura, and that's good, because that's what we want. So doing something like that, I want to talk about recording. Um, Recording is kind of an animal that a lot of people aren't used to.
Mhm.
When they do shows, when you're doing a show, some of your performances are recorded, right? You have their video, or you do video shoots, you do things like that to get your promos out there, things like that.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So when you're doing a live performance, It's like a completely different world than if you're going into a studio and walking into a studio booth and actually listening to something in headphones and then just sing, you know?
Right.
Like the is was there like a I don't know, a transition, or like the first time you ever did something like that, did it throw you off completely, or was it more of a natural thing that you just got into right away? Because I'll tell you my story, and it's probably way different than yours. But go
You
ahead.
mean
What did you think?
in terms of being on stage or being in a studio?
Yeah, yeah. Or having to record without the band around you.
Yeah, it's dry.
Yeah.
It's I mean, it's helpful, you know, to have the headphones and just kind of internally swim in the music, but when
Mhm.
you can, like, have the band, I love to swim in it. I don't know how else to put it.
Yeah.
It's like I just you're on a whole other plane. You get lost in it, you know,
Oh
but
yeah.
that doesn't so much happen in studio setting.
Right, right. And that was, something that I thought in the very beginning, it was like, that's easy. I mean, wow, you don't have to be with all of the band. You're going to be in a room by yourself. You're going to have headphones on. You're going to just start singing. And my first recording session was an absolute disaster.
Mm.
Uh, and as a matter of fact, it's kind of a funny. I'm not going to go into the whole basic story, but it literally got me replaced as the singer in a band that I was in. I
Oh,
was still in the
no.
band. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
still in the band because I played bass and I did, and I was part of the songwriting. But yeah, I got into the studio and honestly, I had no idea what I was doing. I mean, I was listening to the music in the headphones. I would start singing and it would be at the wrong time because I didn't understand latency at the time.
Oh,
And I'm trying, and then I couldn't hear my own voice. And I was used to singing on
yeah.
stage, and then you hear the delay and you hear all the nice, but they want you in a studio, they want you to record totally dry, you know?
Right.
And I was like forgetting the lyrics. I was like, this is so odd.
Mhm.
I can't perform, and plus I wanted to grab the microphone and lean
Right.
in, start
Right?
singing.
You
And
just stand
instead,
there like a stick.
I'm standing there in a little booth with this thing around the
Oh, it's
microphone.
the
I
worst.
got the headphones on, and I'm like, this sounds so strange. Yeah, it was weird. I agreed with the decision
Yeah.
until I learned a heck of a lot more about studio and what to do. So yeah, it's definitely an odd thing. So
Yeah.
so now let me ask you a couple of I'm going to ask you a couple of silly podcast questions because believe it or not, it's been like a half an hour. Uh,
Oh.
we see that? I told you it goes by very quick, right? All right. So you are a singer. You know a lot of musicians, a lot of bands. You've grown up around music. You've grown up around a lot of musical aspects. Um, if you can choose your perfect band behind you,
Oh God.
who would it be? So we can make it easy, and you can have just a drummer, a guitar player, and a bass player. Okay. And if you don't know the names of who they are, because I don't know, I always mess up the names, just say the bands.
Oh, wow. Uh, oh my gosh.
So many to choose from. Guitar players are different because there's so many of them and so many new guitar players out there that are great. But then
Yeah.
there's so many of the, the Jimmy Pages and the Jeff Becks and the Eric Claptons out there,
Well, I seem to be getting hung up on YouTube, but on YouTube,
on YouTube. Okay. Yeah.
on YouTube.
Yeah.
But then I think about like Foo Fighters and, you know, like those couple of bands where I just makes me want to like dig in and be like, yeah, kind of
Right.
thing.
Oh yeah,
Um,
because they seem to have fun when they're playing.
yeah. And there's just so much to it.
Right. Right.
There's grit. I like the
Do you
grit.
have a uh, specific sound that stands out to you when it comes to, like, let's say you were able to do anything that you wanted to do, what sound, genre, whatever, would be the one that you would want to go more towards?
Um, I love new wave.
New wave. Okay.
Yeah.
What are some of the new wave? What's some of the stuff that you would listen to then, as far as new wave? Because that's something that I personally have not gotten into, but I know there's a lot of it out there.
Yeah. Well, like Berlin, of course, Duran
Okay.
Duran, Flock of Seagulls,
So you're
modern.
talking 80s new wave.
Yeah.
Not okay. I'm thinking like, okay, what's out now? I don't hear anything now, really, but
Oh,
okay. 80s new wave. Okay. All right. I like that. That was a big
yeah.
MTV era, right?
Yeah. Did you know
No, I
Pep and
like
Atari had the second music video played on MTV in 1982? Or was it
she was
81? Oh, shit.
the second. She was the second video right
Second,
behind.
yeah, You Better Run. I'm sure I bet you know the first one.
First one was Video Killed the Radio Star.
That's right.
I think it was
Second
by the
was,
Buggles. Was it the
yeah,
Buggles? Was it?
I
Yep.
don't,
That was the first one. And yeah, I'm pretty sure I was probably watching it at the time.
yeah.
Yeah. I used to watch MTV all the time. Uh, and then I saw the Kiss Unmasked, if anyone
Oh,
remembers
nice.
that one when that happened. But that was after, Peter Criss and Ace Frehley anyway. But yeah, they had the big unmasking on MTV. And then I really liked it when they started showing a lot of classic rock stuff. When they started showing like uh, um, Rush and Triumph. There's some great Triumph videos out there that were just awesome. I used to love Triumph.
Mhm.
Yeah, so all of that stuff I would get into, but yeah, a lot of the music that came out on MTV was huge back in that time, and
Yeah.
that would be the kind of thing that you would do if you were just going to branch out and do your own thing.
Yeah, I'm gonna be definitely doing some new wave in my cover stuff.
Nice. All right, I like all of that. That's good. And what about style? You going to have the band in the Flock of Seagulls hair or the
It's it's
80s
fun.
metal?
I'm going to be my alter ego Phoenix, with the pink wig and like goth sort of clothing.
Nice.
I've got like this black skirt and this other thing that I made to go over it. And I want the band to just dress in black, think like rivets, chains, and rock star look.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I would love to see because I can
Yeah.
definitely do into stuff like that. And it's all of the things that we all, you really, when you're up on stage and you're performing and doing that, I don't know that a lot of musicians actually realize this, but you being up on that stage doing that is is really helping the audience because they are now wanting to kind of live through you vicariously. They
Yeah.
see you up on stage and they just love that. That's got to make you feel good when you're on the stage and people are looking at you kind of in awe or like looking at you and thinking, God, I want to do that, you know, and
It's
especially the kids. Oh yeah. Well, music does that. Music definitely
yeah.
does it. So now where can everyone find you? Let's say they want to get your book, they want your information, they want to
Oh,
book you, whatever it is. Let's get some information out there before we go and get your
okay.
information out there.
Well, I've got Facebook pages. I've got YouTube and Instagram and TikTok, and a website for my band.
Mhm.
Chainbreakeraz.com is my band website. The Enchantments of Winnie and Greg, that should bring you to my Facebook page or YouTube. I've got a band Facebook page too. Or you could just look up Laura Workman.
Yeah. Now, what about on Amazon? Do you have like a store? Are you just selling on Amazon or is your book available on Amazon?
Yes, I've got 6 children's books and 6 matching coloring books, as well as I did it in a collection. So they're all in one book as well. The audio and the Kindle, that's all on Amazon. And I also wrote just a little book about singing, just some singing tips and stuff. And I'm working on a new book about attachment issues in relationships called Avoidant or Anxiously Attached. So that
Oh,
should be coming out pretty soon.
wow. Well, I got some reading to catch up on then. Might have
Yeah.
to go and do that. Yes. All right. Well, Laura, thank you for joining us. I appreciate it. It's been great. It's great to finally virtually meet you, and
Thank you
hopefully we'll
for
meet
having
in
me.
person very, very soon. And
Yeah.
yeah, and for everyone else, thank you for joining Living in the Limelight podcast. I am your host, Anton Scholl, and we will see you again next week. So thank you, Laura. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining our Living in the Limelight podcast with your host, Anton Scholl. Please feel free to comment, like, follow, share, and subscribe, and also add us to your playlist on your favorite streaming sites. Thanks again for joining, and we'll talk to you again next week.